My name is Aimee Delach. I'm Senior Policy Analyst for Climate Adaptation here at Defenders of Wildlife. And I'm going to talk to you for just a few minutes about why it is so important to wildlife and habitat that we hold climate change to 2 degrees centigrade of warming or even less, 1.5 degrees would be preferable. So here's where we are now in the globe. The average global temperature in 2019 was almost 1 degree centigrade above the 20th century average. It was about 1.71 degrees Fahrenheit or 0.95 degrees Celsius. Now, if you look on this map, some of the areas are much darker. This dark red are places that were record warm. Australia, much of Australia was included in that record warm zone. Australia for the year 2019 was 1.4 degrees Celsius above the long-term average. In other words, it was very close to the limit that the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the IPCC, says is really the limit of our safe warming. And let's talk a little bit about what that means for ecosystems. This graph is from the IPCC's report on climate change and lands, and it shows where different kinds of impacts start to get severe when you're looking at climate change. And those include water scarcity, soil erosion, wildfire, permafrost, etc. So that gray line across the bottom is about 1 degree Celsius. That's really about where we are now. So dotted line just above that is 1.5 degrees. Again, Australia this past year got very close to that point. And then these colors on the bars are increasing severity of each of those climate impacts as the temperature rises. So you can see for soil erosion, the really severe impacts don't really start until much, much higher temperature rise, hopefully that we'll never get to. But over here in the middle, wildfire damage starts to move from the moderate yellow color temperature rise up into severe, starting at about 1.5 degrees centigrade, again, where Australia has just about hit in the year 2019. And as we all know, they had a really devastating fire season this past year. And again, things like permafrost degradation start to get severe with as little as 1.5 degree centigrade increase, and then get extremely severe at around 2. IPCC did a similar report on ocean impacts. I even like the organization of this one a little bit better because it shows you the most sensitive ones, the ones that start to have those red and even into purple high severity impacts at lower temperatures, where over on the far right, you have to get very, very warm for those systems to start seeing impacts. But again, warm water corals are into the red zone, the zone of starting to see high ecological impacts at just about 1 degree centigrade, where we are now, and getting up into the purple, very high range at as low as 1.5 degrees centigrade. And again, the Great Barrier Reef, I just read today, is probably in the midst of its 3rd bleaching event in 5 years. So those impacts really are already starting to play out in the places that we're seeing with a high degree of temperature change so far. This is another graph from a different report that kind of puts the climate impacts into context. This shows really all of the major drivers of biodiversity loss. This is from a report last year that you may remember. It warned us that up to 1 million species could be facing extinction in the next decades. And these bars in the center, these direct drivers, are the various things impacting biodiversity loss. Climate change is the orange one of these bars. And so you can see it is one of our drivers of biodiversity loss, and it is the most rapidly accelerating. But habitat loss and direct exploitation of species is actually still ahead of climate change as an impact. So we have to fight climate change, but we also have to do the other things like halt overexploitation, protect, restore, and connect habitats, and do all those sorts of conservation activities to give wildlife a chance to survive. And we also have to hold climate change to 1.5 or at worst 2 degrees Celsius change. I hope you found this informative. Stay healthy and be well. Thank you for listening.